and see where you land. That's this type of book, okay? Hi friends, and welcome to my channel. If you are new, welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Desiree, also known as IAmPoleBunny, and today we're going to be going over some of my top books to support you while on your sensual feminine journey. Now, let me start with this disclaimer. This is not an all-inclusive list by any means. Honestly, I can't even say that these books are ahead of others, but these just happen to be some of the first books to support me while on my journey, so I'm listing them first. However, soon I will be doing a part 2 if you all would like it. Matter of fact, if you want that, just leave me a comment or just like this video, and that way I know to put out a part 2 or part 3. However, today we're going to start with my top book. So I have my books here that we are going to go over today. I am missing one book only because I let a good girlfriend borrow it, so we'll talk about it, but I won't have the physical copy here with me. Matter of fact, I'll just add it in with editing. I'll add in a cover shot of the book. So we're gonna start with the first book that really kick-started my journey. The one that was like, hey, do you remember who you are? Do you remember your power? Do you remember your magic? I want to start with that book, and that is Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes. Let me correct myself. It is called Women Who Run with the Wolves, Myths and Stories of the Wild Woman Archetype. Y'all, again, this was my very first book. This is what kick-started everything. This is the book that kick-started everything. I will say, I was always a sensual person. I was always someone who was very aware of sexual energy, and I knew that I had access to this energy, you know? One thing I didn't know was the power behind it for the longest. And I'm sure some of you can even maybe relate, but I didn't know that there was a power to it. So instead, I just knew I had a lot of sexual energy, but I didn't know what to do with that shit. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to transmute it, how to alchemize it. Like, I had no idea how to use it. These books shifted my entire perspective on sexual energy and my power. And then I began to learn how to use it. That's what these books have supported me with. So this is the first one. When I see book reviews, I don't see this often, and that is folks reading maybe a little bit out of the book or giving their favorite quote out of the book or something of that sort. So I thought that I would do that. I would give y'all something out of a page that I've marked. So you see this page is marked. Now, y'all, this page may have been marked back in, I don't know, 2015, 2016. Somewhere up in there. It was years ago, so I don't even remember why I marked it, but I am going to read from you from a page that I've marked in every single book, okay? So again, marked or highlighted. Now, this is something new to me as well, y'all, so I don't remember what I marked, and to be honest, I may not be able to tell you the story behind it either, but we're just going to flow with it. All right, so here's what I have marked. For instance, a woman marries for wrong reasons and cuts off her creative life. A woman has one sexual preference and forces herself to another. A woman wants to be, go, do a big something, live life, but saves little shreds of life as they are string. A woman is her own person, yet gives an arm, a leg, or an eyeball away to every lover who comes down the pike. A woman flows with radiant creativity and invites her vampirish friends to a group. A woman needs to go on with her life, and something in her says, no, being snared is being safe. I love it. So that's what I had marked back in the day. Take with it what you will. I always say take what resonates and leave the rest. So if there's anything, not even just in this video, if there's anything in any video that simply doesn't resonate with you in this very time, in this very moment, leave it. Leave it. It's just not for you right now. If ever, right? It's just not for you. So now we are moving on to the second book while on my journey. And again, this is, if I can remember correctly, this is the second book. It may have been the fourth, it may have been the fifth, but if I can remember correctly, this was the second book. And I remember at that time, I was really interested in goddess energy. And I don't mean just simply my embodiment of goddess energy. I meant goddess energy as a collective, like what existed, this idea of deities that were very much anchored in goddess energy, right? Like just the collective goddess energy. So I was curious about all of the goddesses, not just goddesses within African spirituality, but goddesses within Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism. I was so intrigued by all of it, okay? So I picked up this book called The Transformative Power of the Goddesses of Yoga, Awakening Shakti. Let me focus. By Sally Kempton. Such a beautiful book. But I will say this book was a challenging read for me at the very beginning, you know, and I will say that most of the books are, if it's foreign to you, or when I was reading, the initial reaction was, what does this mean, right? There was a lot of moments of that, right? And that is completely okay. So if you're someone who is new on your journey, know that over time, the full remembering happens, right? But at the beginning, some things are a little bit more challenging to digest. There are some books that are easily digestible. There's words that are quite familiar. There's terminology that may be quite familiar, or it may resonate so deeply, it sits within your spirit really quickly. But then there are some books that are just a little bit harder to digest, that I would actually suggest you explore over time. You know, they're books that you maybe don't jump out the gate and grab unless you really feel called to. And then there are books that you can come out and kind of go, oh, this is a book that I can grab, I can understand immediately, right? So this is one of those books that grab it, okay? Grab it. But know that there may be processing that has to happen and be okay with that, okay? So, The Transformative Power of the Goddesses of Yoga. Beautiful, beautiful book. It talks about Kali Ma, it talks about, I mean, a lot of the goddesses that you've maybe heard of or ran across. It goes into great detail about feminine power and about Shakti energy and Shiva energy, how to, again, alchemize, transmute these energies. But it definitely goes into great detail about the goddesses. And it's a beautiful book to have, especially for reference. So this is one of the books that I would say it's not a page turner, meaning I'm sitting there and I'm reading this book and I'm just flipping through pages and that's, you know, that's the vibe I'm on. No, it's very much a reference book. I feel called to pull up this chapter type of book. So it is a great support to have. So let's go into something that I have marked within this book. So I have marked Kali and spiritual liberation. Of course I do. Again, I don't know when I bought this book, years and years ago, but as you can see, I have a heart there. So I've marked this book there. Without her ruthless insistence on melting us to the bone, we'll never get down to our essence, down to the apparent nothingness that alone can reveal our true vastness, and out of which real creativity arises. It isn't enough to pay lip service to the beautiful idea that in our essence, we are God living as a human being. To actually realize that, to be it, demands that we step forward audaciously into our largeness and love, and that we be willing to look into and surrender our own darkness, our shadowy motives, our built-in contraction, and our tendency to identify with the false self. Y'all, get into this book. So the next book, and probably one of the most popular of all the books that I'll have listed today, this book is a gem. This book is a gem, okay? You know it. It is called Sacred Woman by Queen Afua. Get into it. Get into this book. Now, if you are on your journey already, if you've just started your remembering journey, you've heard of this book probably at this point. I have no doubt. Matter of fact, leave a comment and let me know if you already own this book. If you don't own it, let me know if you know somebody who does. So Sacred Woman is a book similar to Yoni Shakti, where I would actually consider this more of a reference book, meaning you keep this on your nightstand by your bed, and when you are trying to remember a ritual, you're trying to figure out what am I doing, pick up your book. You wake up, roll over, grab the book, and do this. And see where you land. That's this type of book, okay? It is packed with rituals, movement rituals, sacred rituals to support you on your remembering journey, to support you in returning to your body, into your essence, okay? That's this book. So yes, for sure, y'all, just get into it. I don't want no lip. This needs to be on your bookshelf. Listen. So let's go into what I have marked in Sacred Woman. Page 50 I have marked. Ask your womb about her physical condition. Have you ever touched or felt your womb or vagina beyond washing yourself? What did you feel about her? When you have touched the entrance to your womb or vagina, how did you feel about her? Were you embarrassed? Did you feel at ease? So that's what I have marked. I guess I was gonna do some journal entries, so yes. I love womb talk. Again, y'all, womb, yoni support, self-love, ease, rituals. This is your book. Okay, so let's talk the next book. Now, remember I mentioned at the very beginning that there are books that I believe are deeply supportive after you've kicked off your journey. You're in it a little bit, you've done some reading, you've already done some research, and you already have some remembering going on, and you're really moving forward on the journey, right? This is one of those books, okay? Again, not an easily digestible read, only because the language. If you are someone who studied yoga and tantra, you're in it, like you're gonna understand. If you haven't really studied those practices, again, some parts may be a little bit more challenging to digest. However, it doesn't mean don't read it. Read it, but just be aware that it may be a little bit more, it's something different, something a little bit more challenging, right? Which is, hey, we're all here to be challenged and to learn. That is part of this human experience. So it is called Yoni Shakti, A Woman's Guide to Power and Freedom Through Yoga and Tantra. And this is by Dr. Uma. Again, it's not only a dense read, but it is a large read, friends. Like, this is not an overnight book. This is another one that I consider a reference book. A lot of these books are reference, so it's not about necessarily reading a story. It's not storytelling. They're just more reference books that you can use throughout your entire journey. You know, not one that you'll read one time and never pick up again. As you can see here, I have pages marked in this book like it's a study guide. That's what I treat it. Only because this is one of the books that supports me so much in my work. If you all don't know, I am a sensual movement guide, a crystal healing practitioner, meaning I work with Yoni eggs, crystal wands, all of that. And my business is actually called Sugar and Sage, but Sugar and Sage is deeply rooted in the sensual feminine, in eroticism, sensual liberation. So this book, if y'all are curious on what supports me, it's this book. I have marked all kinds of things. I'm just gonna read one thing that I maybe have marked. So this is from chapter 7, Embodied Spirit. And so it is helpful to engage our attention both with how the body moves and also with our inner feeling that the practice evokes. So that's what I have marked. Again, another good book, a beautiful read. Oh. Another book that I have with me that I absolutely adore, y'all, adore. One of the most dense reads out of all of them. Take your time with this one, as I am. Or maybe you've already read it before and it was a breeze for you, but for me, take it slow. Take it slow. And to be honest, a lot of times you take it slow just to process, just to really allow things to settle. You know, let the words settle, let it drop in and feel them in your body before moving forward. But this book is called Womb Awakening, Initiatory Wisdom from the Creatrix of All Life by Dr. Azra and Saren. I believe I'm saying the name properly. So again, a dense read. As you can see, I have it marked. Another one that is deeply supportive for me with Sugar and Sage. So let's go into where the marking is. So I have it marked, or actually let me go into a highlight, because I believe that that mark was just me studying something. Let's go into an actual something. Look at all those highlights. That's when you know a book is good. When you have tons of highlights in the book, y'all look, I don't know if you can see all those highlights. So it says, just as 9 is the sacred number of the underworld womb, the sacred feminine numbers of 7 and 13 are associated with the celestial womb. To the earliest peoples, the heavens above and the earth below were both domains of the all-containing great feminine round, the nested mother wombs that contain us. Again, allow that to settle. See if it resonates. If not, leave it, but this is what I highlighted because obviously it settled in, right? It resonated, it felt good in my spirit. And even sometimes if things don't feel good, meaning they don't resonate, doesn't necessarily mean that they're not for you. It could mean that you have resistance to the resonance. I am going to chat about the last book, and that's the book that I don't have here physically, and that is called, drum roll, no. It is called Pussy, a Reclamation by Regina Thomas Howard. If y'all haven't heard of Pussy, a Reclamation, I don't know where y'all been. You've been asleep, sis. I will, of course, link all of these books below. If you are interested in seeing a part 2 or part 3 of this, please leave a comment for me and let your girl know. Other than that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.